Pierre Casuto from Kagiso Media, very warm welcome. And today, how consumers are engaging with news, but perhaps most importantly, how marketers and advertisers should be watching that dynamic. First and foremost, you say the way in which we consume news has changed forever. I think I know what you mean, but explain that to me.
The way we consume news is changing in that through the digital technology, we've seen a massive shift in how people consume media in general. The three main trends we've seen are fragmentation of media, so access to a lot more channels as consumers ever had before. And through the access to more channels is also an access and more choice, more opportunities and therefore more defined segments of type of content and voices we have access to. The other one is a far more active role while listening to news and listening to different media and entertainment channels. So as opposed to going to a almost church-like experience of watching television that you might have had in the 50s today we have consumers that might be on different devices while they look at content, that may be looking for different opinions and different context to whatever news they're looking for. So we have a lot. We're not just seeking news, we're not just seeking facts and data. We're seeking a living conversation that we want to be part of. We're seeking social currency and different opinions and context to whatever we're looking at.
So where does this leave traditional platforms as we know them? The television set, the radio set. Has there been a diminution there completely? Are people not engaging with those in the way in which they used to, or has there been this complete confluence between the two?
We're seeing a lot of synergy, and the media groups and the media brands that offer the best experience often offer a multi-platform experience to their users. One of the big things that we're seeing as well is a shift in thinking. For a very long time, businesses that have been protected by licenses or that have had access to massive audiences with limited competition have seen themselves as owning audiences, as dictating whatever was going to be on programming or the voice or the tone in which they were going to operate. What we're seeing today is that those media outlets are shifting their thinking. They're starting to see themselves not as the leader of a community, but maybe the coffee shop in which a community decides to congregate. So it's about the music that they offer, the atmosphere, the context, the opinions, the different thought leaders that they offer within a place. So it's not just about the data, it's about the voice, it's about the brand.
For example, the coffee shop, I think that works very well, the coffee shop of the community. So if we have all these different devices and we have this perpetual fragmentation of the audience, how should publishers be thinking?
One of the key things we're observing right now is that for a very long time, or at least for the last 10 years or so, what publishers have been doing is replicating the same content across multiple devices. So they said, oh, we provide news and we provide it on television, but we know our users also use mobile devices. So we're going to put the same news onto the mobile devices and we're going to do the same thing on our website. But the devices are changing more and more, and the format is not just screen size anymore. What happens when we start wearing watches that can tell us what the news is, or glasses? We know those are already in development. Do we start pushing the same type of content across all devices, or do we start thinking about each device as a different step in user journey? Do I go to television because I want a specific roundtable debate that I can only get properly around a television or a radio station? Do I go to my watch for the headlines, but do I go to an online forum for a debate between users?
Fair point, but it becomes increasingly expensive, does it not, without necessarily having a return on an audience to give news or content in different formats for different devices. How do you play that one?
I guess
you've got to take the risk, I guess.
The only constant we face is constant change at this stage, and that change is accelerating more and more. So the role of a lot of the media groups is deciding what are the trends that are worth following, what are the platforms that it's worth being on. It's not just about having new platforms and new technology and new devices. It's about how are users shifting their behavior based on what is available to them. What are the trends in patterns in user behavior that really matter to us publishers? Does it matter to us if people start tracking their health signals over their watch and start wearing Fitbits and things like this? Does it matter to us? Maybe not. But does it matter to us if people start following primary news on Twitter and looking for people to have a perspective on that? Should we be part of that perspective? Should we offer a place in which people can find multiple perspectives?
Okay, so this bold vision of the future. In conclusion then, let's bring in the marketing equation to all of this. How do brand managers need to be engaging with this, this new multiplicity of content delivery?
I think one of the big mistakes we've made as publishers that have moved online is we've followed international trends over pricing of audiences and trying to sell bags of potatoes of audiences. You know, a kilo of audience here, a kilo of audience there, 1 million unique browsers here,
Coffee
2 million
shops, potatoes, yes, keep going.
But you know, if you take the image of the coffee shop,
Yeah.
brands today understand that it's worth building influence around specific communities. So a community of runners, of women running, for example, will be far more valuable to a brand, a shoe manufacturing brand, than another 1,000 women that do not do sports or are not interested in sports. So understanding what the communities from part of your media platform are, who they are, and the type of influence you exert over them is becoming far more important than just having X amount of unique browsers, or X amount of time spent, or X amount of page views. The impression really is kind of, it's a bit of a baloney concept, right? What you really need to start understanding is, if you're a coffee shop, if you're an influencer within a set community, then what is it that, which advertiser is this going to be relevant to? Brands want to start telling stories about their brands. You don't tell, not everybody's going to listen to your story. Who is going to listen to your story? And a good publisher will help you be the catalyst that turns your campaign or your stories into remarkable conversations.
Some very important insights there. Pierre Cassuto from Kagiso Media. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Jeremy.